George, and I'm an addict. Really nice to be a nice bit of quiet time. My heart was pumping. I've had a few coffees, but like pumping a little bit. And I think it's really important to sort of, that quiet time at the start of a meeting, to really ground ourselves why we're here and, the suffering addicts, and our families. It's really, really important. And why that I'm here. So I'm a member of Cocaine Anonymous. My home group is the Free Pertinent Ideas group. We're quite a small group, and we meet up on a Sunday morning, and we look at the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we look at some of the chapters in it, and we talk about it and our experience from that, and we look at the chapter more about alcoholism, the chapter on alcoholism, and it's good to get amongst this stuff, and it's a nice little group that welcomed me into their group, and more importantly, we look at best ways to help the next man like I was helped, and to be back into that position where I could be of service in that position to help the next man is important, I'll give you a little description of what it was like, and I sort of like to leave it in like three separate sort of things of how I got it, and my first stage of sort of using, if you like, was I really wanted to use when I was younger. I started using, it was around, and I loved it, and I went with it, and I wanted to use, come out of the spree, then wanted to use again and use it, and that's the way it went for quite a long while, really, little consequences and things like that, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to use. I found a place that, it excited me. I had a passion for it, if you like. It's a little bit like the story of the illustration of the jaywalker. It's pretty simple, like really my story, really. And it went on like that for quite a while. And then I sort of entered this stage where, I wanted to use, and then I didn't want to use. And then I wanted to use, and then I didn't want to use, and it was quite... I don't know where, sometimes we talk about crossing that line and things like that, but, the consequences started to get worse, and you're using the more strategies of, the greatest idea pulled up with is to, get it amongst me, if I've got enough of it, do you see what I'm saying? I won't really worry, do you see what I'm saying? I'll be all right, to me as well, like money was power, these drugs was power to me, you see what I'm saying? It became a way of living for me, if you like, I just loved it. And then I would hit these stages where these consequences, and I didn't really want to do it no more, or I didn't so much like the consequences, if you get what I'm saying, and many things, I remember I sort of got sent to Australia, if you like. I went to Australia, tried to get away. Little did I know my cousins out there was on the meth, so I just ran wild with them for about 3-4 weeks, and got sent back here. And all these little strategies, moving to different areas. Children, having children. Strongly believing that that it would change my life, and I wouldn't have that reason. That I wouldn't want to use. I want to be with my children, my family. When I would move area to area, and. And there was periods of time where I would stop using for a week, I would stop using for 2 weeks, whatever it was, and but always with worse relapse, and and that grew. And then the third stage of using that I've been in for a very long time is not wanting to use, but using. And that to me is the baffling feature of alcoholism addiction, as I know it. Absolutely baffled that I didn't want to do this, but I'm doing it, and it brought me to that point, and that's really why I come here. That's why I come here, because I couldn't stay stopped. And the baffling thing of it is that I would stop for periods of time, and everything would seem all right. I would build up a bright outlook, if you like, with my family, jobs, and I would put it all down like a house of cards. And people around me was absolutely baffled, mystified. It talks about how I can walk back into that pub one more time. Things really got darker and darker, but that's how I got here, and I had many interventions along the way, I'd moved to complete different areas, do you see what I'm saying, change jobs, change situations, and I remember this time I moved to this area, and I had a powerful thing happen to me, and it changed the way that I thought, I had an experience with God, and my life changed right there, you know, and, you know, 3 months later, you know, I'm picking up a can of beer again, smoking crack, baffled again, you know, I didn't really understand, you know, I understand that I've got a problem with drugs and alcohol, but I, you know, I didn't really understand, you know, what it was to be an addict. Why would I? You know, I don't really know. To me, the normal human solution is, you know, I've got problems, stop doing it. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, that makes sense. I didn't understand that I ain't going to be able to stop doing it. You know, so I tried every single thing that I could, you know, and I would be back into that position time and time again, and baffled by this stuff. And you know, it led me to different places. Then, you know, my health, do you see what I'm saying, was deteriorating, like panic attacks in hospitals, you know, I'm having heart attacks, different journeys, and the hospitals led to, you know, like drug and alcohol services, and you know, at some points maybe that might have saved my life, all these different interventions, I don't know, but you know, and then it led me to Cocaine Anonymous about 5-6 years ago. And I come into a little room sort of like this, and it was candle lit, you know, and there was these 12 steps up on the wall, and I see the word God, and I thought, thanks, you know, he's got a solution, you know. This guy, he was sharing about the 12 steps, shared a little bit around a problem, like the obsession of the mind, he called it at the time, and you know, and this energy of the body, and it makes sense to me. It's nothing else makes sense to me, you know, all my life, you know, and seeing the word God up on the wall, do you know what I mean? It was like, fucking hell, you know, what's going on here, you know? Let's get a bit of this. I shot into the 12 steps, you know, had an experience, and relapse ultimately. That was just, this is my story, you know, sort of relapse. But what I'm talking about, these different stages, ultimately that always led to that I had no effective mental defence against the first one again. And every place I went to, I was cornered. It didn't matter what I'd done, how much money I earned, whatever, you know. And I landed in CA, and you know, I'd get a year, you know. And I beg to differ anyone that would go through these 12 steps, you know. And if you like, had an honest desire, whatever, to stop using, you know. It's going to have an experience, you know. I think the man off the street would have an experience, whether he had a problem with alcohol or not, and I would have these mad experiences, you know, somewhat religious at times, whatever was going on, you know, and I would run out with this stuff, and I would promote the 12 steps to people, you know, and I really run with this stuff. I was in service, you know, call it interaction, you know, I was interaction, and then bang, I would relapse, you know, a year, 9 months, 6 months, you know, this would keep happening, and it was baffling to me, really baffling. I used to sit in meetings, and you know, people talking about their last dues up, you know, like remembering, you know, that you know, and that would sort of keep them. And I was baffled. I remember standing around this meeting. I don't want to use no more. Do you know what I mean? I get to this point. I don't want to do it, but it keeps on happening to me. Why can't I remember the consequences of what happens all the fucking time? Do you see what I'm saying? And it led me to different places, and the book talks about these mental inconsistencies that occur, you know, and relapse being the crux of the problem, you know, and I'll share one with you, you know, back in fellowship, you know, doing this stuff, and I had all my kids this day. It was on a Sunday, you know, and I was back at home at night, and in bed doing a bit of my nightly review, and then the next thing, right, I was in my, come in mate, you know what mate? Next thing I was in my car, right? So I was in bed, you know, my shorts on, in bed. Next thing I was in my car shouting to myself, yeah, you cannot do this, George. Grabbed onto the steering wheel, you cannot do this. So I paused from me being in my bed, yeah, to me getting in my car, and I'm on the journey, yeah, to go and use, and I'm coming to going, you can't, so some of my stuff was, my reasoning was coming back, you can't do this. You know, in between that time, you know, it scared the life out of me coming out of this spree and looking back. What happened? You know, what sort of thinking dominates that, you know? And it took some time and different things and experiences, you know, to look back and see what weren't happening at that time. You know, and I understand that, you know, this original position of my will, yeah, that I don't want to use no more, evaporated right in front of me. at that point. It didn't exist at that point. The memory of the pain that I've caused, all the using, didn't occur to me at that moment. And I was gone, you know, and that just led me. So, you know, we talk about relapse being the crux of the problem. So that happened, that relapse, that led me to that drink and that crack quite one more time again, you know, and that really scared me. And looking back at it, you know, I do explain that it's definitely mental. Something mental is going on there. And it's a bit blank as well. What was happening at that point, I can't really remember too much, like nothing, you know, a bit blank. Definitely strange, you know, and strange is a funny word, isn't it? It's like, you know, someone said to me a little while about, have you seen that strange bloke walking about? And I was like, yeah, you know, I've seen that guy walking about, but, you know, I don't know him, I don't know that man, but I know of him. And it's a bit like this. As soon as I try to work out, and I know of it, it happens to me, but I don't, you know, you know, these certain symptoms that occur when a relapse happens. And for me, it's memory, you know, a lack of memory. All of a sudden, I'm there, I'm doing what's going on, yeah, cool, everything's all right. Sometimes a bit of stuff going on, whatever, and my memory lapses. You know, it's a bit like fucking amnesia, as I can look at it. Do you see what I'm saying? Crack cocaine, amnesia. I mean, it's gone. You know, and my certain reasoning as well. You know, I'm quite a strong-willed person. Do you see what I'm saying? And you know, I do a lot of stuff. I'm good at my job and things like that. You know, if I walked into a job, you know, I know that, you know, if I've gone to fix a lift, I will look at the area. You know, I'll look at it if it has to be barriered off. You know what? To me, that's sound reasoning. I look at the, you know, the job that needs to be done. You know, but when it comes to using, that just happens. There's nothing surrounding this stuff, and that scares the life out of me. And to understand, for me, that this happens at certain times, and for certain, is quite scary. But this is, in hindsight, this is, yeah. I'm scared. I'm baffled. I've come out of this 3-day thing. I'm scared that I'm either going to kill someone or I'm going to die myself coming out of this, you know, and speaking to my people around me. And I was baffled. Other people was baffled, actually. Like, you know, how can you want to fucking do this? Like, I mean, I actually come to a point thinking, what do I actually want to fucking use? Do you know what I mean? Because nothing would make sense. You know, and I thought, I've got to get out of here. I don't know, I was running away again. I do that a lot, you know, and I ended up in a treatment. I left my house, I left my job, you know, and I went to a treatment centre up in Birmingham, and and I landed into a Cocaine Anonymous meeting Tuesday night, and a small group, you know, there's only 3 CA meetings up in Birmingham, and it's the second biggest city, do you know what I mean, in England, and gone in there, all these guys are sitting there with little big books, talking about relapse. They was talking about relapse, and I shared, and I said, yeah, maybe I think that I was, you know, working with too many people, or this was going on, or that was going on. This geezer collared me after a meeting, and he said to me, look, he said, what, do you really think that you've got something to do with your relapse? And I was like, well, yeah, but, you know, no, and it, like step 1, do you know what I mean? You know, because every time I would relapse, I would insert, really, yeah, I find this place, this freedom, if I've been released from it, really am I inserting my will even harder, more meditation, another step 4, let's do another step 4 and really look at where I'm selfish. Maybe that's the problem, do you know what I mean? Just drawing at all these things. And that was one thing he said to me, and another thing he said to me is that we was in a car and we went to the Swindon convention, big book convention, and it really set me back what these guys were talking about. And we got in this car, and he looked at me and I asked him if he would help me. And he said to me, look, George, he said, you know, I don't know if this is even going to help you. I don't know if this is going to help you. I've been promised all these times going through this, and I know my experience, you know what I mean, going through this. And that gave me something to chew on, you know, have I got something to do with my relapse? And this is really going to work for me, because if this keeps happening at certain times, it's going to keep happening. Yeah, and that put me into such a position that I no longer at that point had any power, because I thought I could really do something about this, yeah. I would really fucking try harder with these steps, yeah. I'd really meditate more, help more people, whatever. But I was actually at a position where I thought, I don't even have any control over that. No control whatsoever. And and that, it set me free up there, understanding that at certain times I have no effective mental defence, looking at the human condition again, around the step 4, around the stuff that is blocking me, and when went with this, whatever was going on, and relapse occurred for me again. I got to a point where my thinking went, do you know what? I smoked 4 rocks. Yeah, it's fucked up, innit? Do you know what I mean? I smoked 4 rocks, right? And then it's like, no, I can't do that. And then I'm doing it. You know what I mean? That mental twist that occurs before I relapse, and I've run away from Birmingham. That's what I do, and I come away from Birmingham and come back down here, and a few guys led me to a group of people in London, and and this guy helped me make a start on recovery, and it led me really straight to these 3 pertinent ideas. Bill Wilson, he talks about being sold upon these ideas that he was sold upon, and these ideas take on a new action, a new attitude, and it hit me straight in the face that I'm an addict, and therefore I can't manage my life. B, that no human power could have relieved me from this. Can't, and C, God could have would if he was so. But then the next part of this, it says, okay, being convinced of that, just what do we mean and what do we do? And the next requirement is that being convinced, that any life run on self-will can hardly beat success. Any life run on self-will can hardly beat success. And it hit me square between the eyes, really. And and the journey took me through, how it works, what a beautiful chapter, and it bringing me to this decision of, handing my will, my life over to the care of God. That I'll get on my knees any time before I had my, really, have I been convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly beat success? Really? And looking at this stuff, it says, it's where it starts going to suggestions or directions, First of all, we had to quit playing God. And this guy, he said to me, many of you, somebody might have heard this before, he said, do you think you could be Anthony Joshua? And I was like, no, I couldn't be Anthony Joshua. What about if he trained a bit and all that, no, I couldn't, no, I couldn't be Anthony Joshua. He said, what about if being his agent? Do you think you could be his agent? And he went to me, you get to chuck the towel in. I thought, I don't need to get in the ring no more. Do you know what I mean? Chuck the towel in. It made sense to me. And, when it cleared the way, the road to start looking at step 4, really looking, what stopped is in my life. Do you see what I'm saying? And really looking at that stuff, and it just, getting to that point, of looking at that and how it was like I was sitting in the audience and it was projected on me of how I had been on that stage playing all my life, and it was disturbing. It was disturbing. And any time I sort of do any inventory in it, I get disturbed outwardly, inwardly, that's where it's at again. And it's disturbing. It takes me back. Playing that role time and time again. I'm a really nice geezer. I really help you all. But really, what's going on with me? Do you know what I mean? And somehow, really looking at where I'm wrong, really removes a part of self where this power, I say another power, can maybe take control in my life. Do you see what I'm saying? And ultimately, that going on. And it's a beautiful thing, I've not relapsed for a little while now, and the freedom from that, is nice, and to wake up with a bit of sunshine, and it's good stuff, it's good stuff. I've got, loads of amendments, going on. Some may take all my life, Me saying that actually put me at a point. I remember someone said something to me around that stuff, and I remember this old lady one time. She pulled me to a side. Sorry, darling. She pulled me to a side, and I was trying to seek some stuff. I was in a spiritualist church somewhere. She said to me, "Look, boy," she went, "I don't know what you're looking for, but you might not ever find it." And I thought, what? She went, you might not ever find it. She went, or it might already be here. And I was like, oh, what? Do you know what I mean? And that time dawned back on me, this time. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting stuff. And I only got on this, just an interesting quote I see the other day, and Winston Churchill. And he says, most people trip over the truth, but then they just jump up and carry on like nothing had happened. That's an interesting quote, I like that. But thank you, yeah, cheers.
Thank you so